Today we're going to start looking at slope. So please flip your circle, your foldable, so it looks like the blank triangle side like I have up here. Just want to start with the 4 different types of slope we will see, the sign of the slope to be a little more specific. So if we take a look at the line I'm highlighting in red right now, when you have a line that goes in an upward direction as you move left to right on it, that line has positive slope. So just mark that line with positive. The next type of slope we're going to look at, I'm going to go ahead and highlight that line in green as best as I can. If your line is going in a downward direction from left to right, that is going to have a negative slope. The sign of the slope is going to be very important. I've taught slope a lot of years, and I know that the sign is the piece that I see probably the most mistakes on. So when you look at your line, you can determine what the sign of the slope should be. If you're going in the upward direction like the red line, that's going to be a positive slope. If you're moving in a downward direction, that'll be a negative slope. 2 other types of lines that we can see, go ahead and highlight in blue. Sometimes we have just a plain vertical line. Go straight up and straight down. When you have just a straight up, straight down line, that actually has an undefined slope. Not no slope, sometimes that phrase has been used, but an undefined slope. The last type of line we have is down at the bottom, coloring it in purple, is just a perfectly horizontal line. A perfectly horizontal line has 0 slope. Not no slope or undefined, but a 0 slope. So these are the 4 different types of slopes we're going to see. Now we're going to explore, if you flip over your circle, now we're going to explore how to actually find slope. And we're going to do that 3 different ways. The first way we're going to start with, go ahead and rotate this a little bit here, is graphically. So go ahead and rotate your paper so the graph is up on top. In order to find the slope of a line from a graph, we need to find 2 specific ordered pairs on that graph. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight right here and right here. Now if you're thinking, Miss Golly, how did you ever decide to pick those spots? Those spots, I know the exact ordered pair. I could tell you that this ordered pair down in the very bottom is -4, -6, and I can tell you that this ordered pair right here is -2, -3. We could also choose, this graph goes through 0, 0. It also goes through the point 2, 3. So you could choose any of those 2 points that you would like, and we're going to create a slope triangle. When we deal with slope, we're talking about rise over run, the change in x over the change in y. So we have rise over run, and I'm going to use a little delta here, it's a little triangle to represent the change in y over the change in x. You can start at any point you would like, and we just have to figure out our rise and our run to get to the next point on our line. So I'm going to go ahead and start at my bottom left point over here. You could choose any of those points that we highlighted in purple. And to get to my next point, I need to rise 1, 2, 3 boxes. So we need to go up 3, and then to connect back to the line, I need to run to the right 2. Up is a positive direction, right is a positive direction. And we want to go ahead and just leave that slope as a fraction. Slopes are best as fractions, so we can tell the rise and the run when we later go to graph our lines using our slope. The sign of our slope is positive, and what we just saw on the other side of our foldable, as we go up our line, it rises as we go from the left to the right. So it should have a positive slope, so I double check and make sure that that is the sign for my slope. Now, aside from slope triangles, we can also use the ordered pairs to help us find slope. I'm going to go ahead and pick the two ordered pairs we just used. And I'm going to go ahead and rotate. And instead of, and this is the best I can rotate, guys, so bear with me. Instead of equation, we're going to go to the equation piece. But instead of equation, we're going to change it so it says between 2 points. So we're going to use two ordered pairs to find our slope. How we do that? Remember, we have the change in y over the change in x. And I use those little triangles before to symbolize that, the little deltas. So the change in y, to find how our y's change, we just subtract our y coordinates. I'm giving them little subscripts so we can just tell the difference that they are actually two different points. So let's grab our two ordered pairs that we had. We had -4, 6. We had -4, 6. I'm going to go ahead and write those over here. We had -4, 6, and we have -2, -3. And again, I'm just taking those from our graph that we had earlier to show you using the slope triangle will work, as well as finding that change by using subtraction. I just want to show you we get the same result of a slope of 3/2. So when we have y1 minus y2, it might be helpful, just a suggestion, to label, this would be x1, y1, x2, y2, just to help you substitute in. So we need to make sure for that numerator that we're grabbing our y values. And really, starting with 6 or -3, it really doesn't matter. So we're going to have 6 minus, and we have a -3. So we have to be careful when our coordinate is negative, we still have to subtract, and that's going to be a negative. For the x's, we start with -4 minus, our formula says we subtract, and then we have -2 as our x coordinate. What happens when we subtract a negative? It becomes a positive. So 6 plus 3 gives me 9. -4 plus 2 and I just noticed I made a mistake, guys. I'm sorry. Rewind. The 6 should be negative. The 6 should be negative right here. There we go. Sorry, guys. -6 plus 3 is -3. -4 plus 2 is -2. Negative divided by negative, this is a positive 3/2. So they do match. Positive 3/2, so they do match. So keep in mind when you're using this, you have to make sure, and you can do like I did. I like to stack these ordered pairs. So my y's line up, so I get my y's in the numerator, and I get my x's in the denominator. So again, we're subtracting the y's, the change in y, over subtracting the x's, which is the change in x. The other option we have, sometimes we're just given ordered pairs in a table of values. So if we go to the table piece, we still need to find that change in y over that change in x. So we still need slope equals the change in y over the change in x. So we have to be careful again, we really have to look at those labels. So if I want the change in y first, I look at my y values and I try to pick out the pattern. To get from 0 to 10, I'm adding 10. To get from 10 to 20, I'm once again adding 10. To get from 20 to 30, I'm once again adding 10. So my change in y each time was to go up 10, so positive 10. Now I look at the change in x. So from 0 to 2, I go up 2. From 2 to 4, again up 2. And from 4 to 6, again up 2. So my change in x is a positive 2. My slope in this case, I go ahead and I simplify. You could write it as 5 over 1 to keep it a fraction, or 5 divided by 1 is just 5. Totally your choice. In order for this to represent, in order for the information in this table to represent a straight line, the change in y needs to be constant. So it needs to be going up by the same amount. Same with the change in x. It needs to also be going up by the same amount, which we call constant. So this little foldable should help you out as you're given different information to help you find the slope of a line. So now our next task then is to take a look at the worksheet. And I want to go through the first one with you, and then you're going to get a chance to try each row, and then I will go through the explanation for each row after you get a chance to try it. So in our first box, we're given a line. So we need to find, remember that delta, that triangle means change. That triangle means change. So we need to find the change in y. The y piece is the up and the down. So we need to go up to get from, we start where the y is -1. And we need to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes to line up. I know the boxes aren't there, so it's not perfect, but I count the little hash marks. We're going up 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes. So up 4, and then we go to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes. And again, I'm just counting the little tick marks. We went over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes to get to our other point. Up is a positive direction, so up 4, right 6, is also a positive direction. 4 over 6 can simplify to 2 over 3. So again, you're going to create a triangle. You do any up or down movements first, any left to right movements second. When the second box says we're going to write the 2 points and find the slope given the 2 points. The 2 points are coming from your graph. So we have -2, -1, and we have the point 4, 3. I grab those right from the graph in that first box. It is very helpful, I think, to label them with X's and Y's. If it helps, sometimes it helps if you write them stacked up so you see how the Y's and the X's match up. The Y values are going to go in my numerator, -1, -3. So see how they're lined up, -1, -3. And then the X values, -2, -4. The biggest mistake I see on this every year, just to give you the heads up now, oftentimes students will put the X values in the numerator instead of the Y's. We end up with it flip-flopped. So be very careful, it's Y over X. -1, -3, double check on your calculator if you need to. -2 -4 is -6. Negative divided by negative is a positive, and then this simplifies to 2 over 3. You should get the same thing if you use 2 points versus making a slope triangle. You should get the same thing. The other piece we're going to do is we're going to put those same ordered pairs into a table. So again, same ordered pairs we've been working with. Now I put them into the table. The change in y. So to get from -1 to 3, I had to add 4. To get from -2 to 4, I had to add 6. Change in y is 4. Change in x is 6. 4 over 6 can simplify to 2/3. Now I know some of you are thinking, Miss Golly, what if I don't simplify? Don't get too worked up about it. My main concern is that you're finding the correct slope. If you forget to simplify, it's not going to be a huge deal, but please try to do so. All right, going to take a little pause here. Try the second line. All right, the second line, hopefully you had a chance to try it out. You could start at either point you want. I'm going to start at the top point. And I need to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes. Down 6. And then I go to the right 1, 2, 3 boxes. Down, if I move downward, that's a negative direction, so -6. If I move to the right, right is a positive direction. -6 divided by +3, you could write that as -2 over 1, or you can simply write it as -2. Either way is okay. Now we're going to take those same 2 ordered pairs. Again, I'm just grabbing them right from the graph, and we're going to use our subtraction equation to find that change in y and the change in x. Again, it's very helpful to label those as x and y. You could also stack them so you see that these are the y's and these are the x's. Our y's are 4 minus -2. X's are -1 minus 2. Again, we're subtracting a negative. That's going to become a positive for us. We get +6. -1 minus 2 is -3. Now I know you're thinking, Miss Golly, they're supposed to match, but in that first one, the 6 was negative and not the 3. It doesn't matter as long as one of them, the numerator or denominator, so as long as one, the top or the bottom, is negative, you're okay. This simplifies. You could do -2 over 1 or just -2, your choice. In the third box, once again, we're taking those same ordered pairs that we started with. So again, the same ordered pairs are going into the table. To get from 4 to -2, I subtract 6. To get from -1 to +2, I add 3. Change in y was -6, so subtracted 6, -6. Change in x was +3. -6 divided by 3, you can get -2 over 1, or just plain -2. You can write it either way you would like. Go ahead and take a pause here and try out the third row. Alright, in the third row, the slope triangle is probably a little easier. This graph has boxes on it. I'm going to start at that upper point and work my way down. I go down 1, 2, 3. And then I go, whoops, I'm sorry guys, it's not down 3. I only need to go down 1, 2 boxes. And then to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down is a negative direction, right is positive. Negative 2 over 4 can simplify to negative 1/2. I once again grab the ordered pairs from my graph, so 0, 3, and 4, 1. Label them with X's and Y's. You also have that option to stack them if you want. I think that helps really see the Y's versus the X's. My Y's are 3 minus 1. My X's are 0 minus 4. 3 minus 1 is 2. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. Again, we see that in the first one the 2 was negative, in the second one the 4 was negative. Doesn't matter, as long as one or the other is negative, we still get our negative 1/2. In that third box, we take our ordered pairs once again, we transfer them over. The change in Y, to get from 3 to 1, I subtract 2. To get from 0 to 4, I add 4. Change in Y is negative 2, change in X is positive 4. Negative 2, positive 4, we once again have negative 1/2. Again, guys, all three boxes you should get the same result. Now our slope is negative, so our line, always go back and double check. And I know we did it in the first couple, but let's go do it from here on out. As I go left to right on my line's going that downward direction. So the sign of my slope should be positive. Go ahead, take a pause here, flip over to the back. Yes, there's 3 more rows on the back. So go ahead, take a pause here, try out the row on the back. The first row on the back, I'm going to go ahead just to change it up a little bit. I'm going to start at the point on the far right, because I know some of you are probably thinking, do I always have to start with the one on the left? You don't have to. If I start on the far right point, I go up 2, and then I go left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I also wanted to make sure I talked about going left. We've talked about going up, we've talked about going down, and we've talked about going right. So my change in Y is up 2, so that's positive. Left is our other negative direction. Up and right are positives, down and left are negatives. This fraction of 2 over negative 5 just doesn't simplify. It's just negative 2/5. Once again, we look at our line. It's going in a downward direction from left to right, so the slope should have a negative sign. Now, the ordered pairs aren't written on the graph, so this one's a little bit more challenging. We have to stop and think what the ordered pairs are going to be. So the first one, the one I started with, was at the point 5, 2. The second one is at 0, 4. So we have the ordered pair 5, 2. We have the ordered pair 0, 4. It's often helpful to label them with X's and Y's. You can also, once again, stack them. The ones that line up are the ones that should be subtracted. My Y values are 2 minus 4. My X values are 5 minus 0. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. 5 minus 0 is 5. We cannot simplify 2/5. Oop, I don't know where the rest of my table went here. There we go. Oh, it's coming back. We again take our 2 ordered pairs, transfer them to the table. Change in Y, to get from 2 to 4, I add 2. To get from 5 to 0, I subtract 5. The change in Y is positive 2. Change in X is negative 5. So we once again have our negative 2/5. Go ahead, take a pause here, try out the second row on the back. The second row on the back, I'm going to start at the far left point. I'm going to go ahead and label that. 0, 3. I need to go down 1, 2, 3 boxes. Down 3. And then I go to the right 1, 2, 3, 4. Down is a negative direction. Right is a positive direction. And negative 3/4, we cannot simplify. Our other coordinate over here is 4, 0. So I take our two ordered pairs, and I'm going to transfer them over to that next box. Once again, labeling x's and y's. Or again, we have that option where we can stack. So these are our y's, and these are our x's. So we have 3 minus 0, and 0 minus 4. 3 minus 0 is 3, 0 minus 4 is negative 4. Please, please, please double check any computation with your calculator. Sometimes if we just get in a hurry, we end up getting the signs wrong, so just double check. Alright, and then we're going to transfer those ordered pairs over to the table. To get from 3 to 0, we subtract 3. 0 to 4, we add 4. Change in y was minus 3. Change in x was plus 4. We once again have negative 3/4. All three ways should match. I want to make sure we can use all three ways to find slope. We're not always given a graph. Sometimes we're given a table. Sometimes we're just given two ordered pairs. So I want to make sure we can use all three ways. So take a pause here and try out that last row, please. Alright, in the last row, none of the ordered pairs are labeled for us even. Neither are the x and y axes. So we need to find two ordered pairs. So as I look, I'm just going to show you some of the options. Because you might have chosen any of these points. And that's okay. Any of those would work. So you're just going to have to pick two, and before you change yours, wait and see what my final answer is, because maybe you just chose two different ordered pairs than what I did. So I'm going to start. I'm going to choose this ordered pair. I'm going to choose these two. So let's see, it's negative 2, 3, and 0, 2. Those are the two I'm going to choose. I just need to go down 1. And I go right 2. Down is a negative direction, right is positive. So again, you might have chosen two other points on your graph, and any two will work. So if I would have chosen these two right here, I would have gotten the same thing. I could have chosen to start all the way over here and gone down 1, 2, 3, 4, and went to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Down 4, right 8. Still gives me negative 1/2. So choosing any 2 points will work. That's why I wanted to make sure I did one where I didn't choose the points for you. You're going to have to choose 2 points. I'm going to use my original 2, but again, don't change yours yet. You might have just chosen different ordered pairs. That might still work. That's okay. You also have the option, I'd like to keep stacking these. We see our y's, we see our x's. 3 minus 2, negative 2 minus 0. So we get 1 over negative 2. So just check yours. If you want to change yours to mine, you can, or if you have some, you probably have some extra space, you could do it down below if yours are different. Change in y, to get from 3 to 2, we subtract 1. To get from negative 2 to 0, we add 2. Subtract 1, add 2. So those are the 3 different ways we're going to use to find slope. Keep your slope foldable. You can go ahead and fold it, or if you want to wait till I'm back to fold it, I can show you how to do that.